Have you heard of the Have you heard the joke about the gas lighter?
No.
Yes, you have.
Fair enough.
See, that's a great joke because no matter which way they answer, you can still get them. Because if they're like, "Yeah, I've heard that one," you're like, "No, you haven't."
What joke?
I wish I was wearing my podcast hoodie. Look at that. I got the retro.
It's like it's like warm outside. This is not a good idea.
That's
this
your
is like
fault because we both bought our own.
Yeah, I need to buy
company
one.
funds. We bought our own because we're dedicated.
I just haven't done it yet. So I have my dirt scooter hat or hoodie on. So
dirt scooters. Do you yoke birdies in that?
I wish I wore it to Supercross. So
that's pretty gnarly.
I gotta blend in. So
that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah,
I was in Daytona. I was in Daytona twice.
Yeah,
it was
for the duel
experience.
and then the flippity flip, which we'll get to. But you have fun in Daytona.
I had a lot of fun. I really like it's. Every year I go to the racetrack and I spend more time at like different midways and stuff. I'm always amazed by one thing, and that is I'm always amazed at Toyota's activation at the racetrack in the midway. They do a great job. They always got stuff going on.
Yeah.
They're fully staffed.
Must be nice.
And yeah.
Toyota doesn't activate at Michigan.
Toyota activate. How about this? I'll go to Daytona I'll go to Daytona again in August, and I'll go for like the Xfinity race or something, and I'll try and get videos pre-race. Because I mean, it's like
they do a good job.
Like, you know how like Chevy and Ford have haulers in the merch area? Toyota has a trailer, they have a stage, they have little demonstrations over here and another demonstration over here, and then they have a little like quote unquote sim racing thing, which it looks like Forza, but like regardless, they have that. They have like a little kiosk desk.
They have stuff to do.
They have all their cars lined up. Yeah, they have countless things to do over in the Toyota section of all the midway.
And Ford,
it's really good.
Chevy and Ford have you sign like a little waiver or something so they can get your email address so you can get a free t-shirt, and then they'll have
Ford was all right. Chevy actually had some stuff this year, but it wasn't like amazing or anything. There's like General Tire has a section too because of ARCA and the stuff
General
that was
Tire
there.
Had the ARCA. Oh yeah, he's got his generic Chevy shirt or Ford shirt, maybe, I don't know.
This is going to be a hilarious looking shirt.
Oh, I thought you were going to keep telling the story. When we were at Charlotte in the fall, and they did that thing where you could like sign up for their newsletter.
Oh yeah, didn't you? Oh, I'll let you.
The internet on my phone just wouldn't work, so it took me literally like 15 minutes, and I was like, I'm gonna get my free shirt, and then I did, and it's a double XL.
I mean, that's perfect. It's a good sleep.
For those at home, I'm 5'7", so.
I was at the General Tire section. You could get a free General Tire hat. I've done that like 8 times. I have too many General Tire hats.
They're good hats.
But I wanted a lanyard, and I didn't know how to ask for a lanyard. I don't know what you do to get a lanyard. So I just never got a lanyard. Anyway.
Real quick.
I ran into some fun people there as well. But go ahead.
Oh, who'd you run into?
Go ahead. It's probably not important. Yes. I liked it because I know who they are, and it was people that I have like.
Davey's got connections on Twitter.
I don't. Good morning, Matt. No, I just I ran into a few people, but namely the ones that I recognize and the ones that I talked to. I ran into Drive Through and Matt's on the phone. It's distracting me. I ran into Drive Through and Ben Easterday, otherwise known as, I believe, the Ben Crazy. They do a lot of like streaming and stuff.
Yeah, and they like paint and stuff too. They'll like stream paint sessions and stuff. Cool content. Different content.
Cool content. Coolest dudes. I showed up and I was like, hey, I wouldn't introduce myself if I didn't kind of like know who you are and like there wasn't a reason to. But I'm Davey Hazard, and he was like, "Oh, the Knockos legend!" I was like, "Yeah, that was awesome. It was cool."
Knockos legend, Davey Hazard.
Knockos confirmed dead. You heard it here first on the Fakers podcast. As far as NR goes, Knockos gone.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Unfortunate.
Yeah, they're done with NR, and I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
But yeah, what are you gonna do? Looks like we gotta.
Sorry about that.
No, you're all good.
My brother called. I'd answer it. So
yeah, no,
we're still early in the show. We can edit that out.
Nah, we're gonna keep it.
Keeping it in,
I
baby.
don't care enough to edit it out.
Keeping it in.
But
I'll be right back. I can still hear.
Welcome. Welcome to the most professional podcast on YouTube, the Fake Racers Podcast. With
it's kind of
good.
We've kind of got like a fluid cast this week. Anybody could leave at any time, so yeah, you just have to roll with it.
I haven't left yet.
I don't even know if that came through, but I heard it. There he is. I was gonna say to my left on your screen, it's Mr. Davey Hazard.
It's me, baby. I'm here.
Perennial bottom Matthew Steelman.
Oh, the US Robo's gonna get a kick out of that one. Hello, it's me.
And I'm Joe Twansky.
It reminds me of a really good
That's
joke.
going on the Twitter.
Today, but I probably shouldn't tell it on the show. So
that's going on the Twitter.
You're cutting it, not me.
I will. All day.
Can't thank you folks enough for watching another edition of the Fake Racers Podcast here on JTN2. If you're watching the long form, thank you for tuning in. Daytona 500, of course, was this past weekend. Speed Weeks came to a conclusion. We're going to kind of go through this in order of events. But wheel issues. No one saw those coming.
Not a soul. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Nothing. Obviously, when someone loses a wheel, that's like bad. That's like as bad as it gets. But like, really, like only a couple of wheel issues is like, it's not as bad as I honestly thought it might be.
Yeah.
I thought it could get a lot worse, and it was two instances of weird things happening. One was just they didn't tighten a wheel, which could happen with under any circumstance, and then the wheel breaking I think is the interesting one.
So it sounds like both cases were that the wheels were improperly mounted and tightened. So the one with Grala with the 50 Floyd Mayweather, the money team car, aka everyone's favorite team, Starcom Racing. Hey, that's what you call a flip. You slap a new coat of paint on it. There you go. Ultimate flip.
Let Floyd Mayweather pretend he's a NASCAR owner for a few weeks.
Hey,
cool branding.
We had 40 entries in the 500. We had 42 entries for the 500. But yeah, so Grala's team, it sounds like they didn't get the pins on the right way. So the way these wheels work is you have the pins, right? And you have to mount the wheel on in a very specific manner for that center nut to lock and actually hold the wheel on. Because those pins keep the wheel from rotating when you're tightening it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With that being said, both those teams, the one with Haley, that they're attributing it to a failure to put the wheel on. But 4-race suspension for the crew chiefs for both of those cars and the two pit crew members, so the changer and probably the carrier. So, do we like that? That's the penalty. This is part of the new, that new penalty system that NASCAR introduced. We'll talk about the other thing in a second, but
I think it's good. I think it personally, I think that's it's hefty, but I think you have to be hefty with something as important as tightening the wheel. I mean, if you can scare teams into making sure they take the time to properly attach wheels, I'm all for it, because a wheel coming off is a danger to fans, danger to drivers, danger to everybody at the speedway. So get your wheels tight. If you don't, you get suspended forever.
Yeah, because back when they used to penalize teams if you had a loose lug nut, or if like the official just thought there was a loose lug nut, that always seemed excessive, because it's like that's a self-policing issue. Mm-hmm. With this, I get it though, because with when you only have one lug nut and you screw that up, like the whole wheel's coming off.
Or you don't screw that up.
Yeah. But it's like that whole wheel's coming off.
Your dad's gonna get a kick out of that one, Davey.
There's no contingency plan though for that, and so I get it. It seems a little harsh to be like race one with these cars, don't screw up, but at the same time, it's like it's Daytona, so the last place they want a wheel coming off in the middle of the pack is Daytona. So.
I'd argue some of those short tracks would probably be worse just because the fans are closer. But yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Nope. Screw the fans, baby. Wheels go up in the fans, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, they did on Saturday. Again, we'll get to that.
Yeah, a whole lot more than just the wheel went up into the stands.
On the other end of the spectrum, NASCAR confiscated wheels from Team Penske and RFK Racing on Friday after a report from another team about some discrepancies with those wheels. I guess someone got a video of one of the Penske or RFK guys kind of hand machining the holes for the pins and kind of giving them a I forget the exact word, and this is why I'm a terrible engineer, but kind of making it so it's like a cone, right? It's fun, like a funnel.
Yeah, a conical shape or a rounded off edge, so it'll slide on easier.
It'll slide on easier, and also helps with their words, not mine. Helps with safety of the wheels, because then you're less likely to do what the 31 and 50 did on Sunday. Do we like that, the first time a team without NASCAR's written consent did something with the wheels, and we had all this hubbub about if you tamper with these parts, you're going to get in trouble, and no one got in trouble.
I think in this case, like, it was clear it wasn't for a performance advantage. It was clearly like, we're trying to improve this because it's not going to make the car faster on track.
Joe,
yeah, no, it'll speed up the pit stop, but like you can see where it's like, this is literally a measure we're taking to make sure the wheel goes on every single time and is safer, so we don't send stuff flying into the air. So.
It's a performance advantage, but it's kind of like they brought a really good lawyer along with them,
Yeah.
They have really good reasoning for as to why they're doing it to back themselves up, and it makes NASCAR look foolish if they try to hammer down on them, which I think it's smart, but
those wheels don't come off during that 500. There's penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's the thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Roger Penske, or someone at Penske, I don't remember if it was Roger exactly, said that they had contacted NASCAR about it, and then they did it anyways, even though they didn't get permission to do it. Again, I don't know if it sends the wrong message, the right message, but I just, okay, what's to stop somebody from making a modification to a fender, and then that race, a couple fenders fly off, and saying, well, it was a safety modification, and just so happens one of their cars wins the race. I don't know. I just, they found the gray area in the rule book that was supposed to not have any gray areas, but they did it anyways, right? Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what precedent it sets. I mean, here's the thing. The NASCAR race official from, what was it, Kansas last year, probably should have got suspended for 4 races for not throwing a caution and letting the wheel just stay out on the middle of the track, but, whatever.
I'm mad I wasn't on the show yet when you guys talked about that. Oh, my God.
I was pretty pro what NASCAR did, and just as try to be a foil to Davey, but...
I was very anti, and there was little stopping.
Yeah. They're like, it was a safety issue, but it was so unsafe that we waited like 15 laps to throw the caution.
Cycle to go through because the guy that we like was leading.
Yeah.
Similarly, in a similar vein, there was when in the duel, or no, it wasn't the duels. It was the Xfinity race on Saturday night. Like,
I feel like the
rear bumper.
Yeah, the TV panel.
Oh,
yeah, car. It was just
same
sitting there.
Yeah.
And it's right next to the inside wall. I get it. Like, I get why they wouldn't throw a caution, but that's a big piece. like at what point, where do you draw the line? Because I feel like I've seen cautions thrown for less.
Yeah, but it's Daytona, so you don't need a caution.
Yeah.
Fair.
I've seen him do that before with debris, but that was the first time I've ever seen it with the rear bumper. Honestly, I was fine with that because it was it's literally against the inside wall on the exit of 4. Nobody's gonna get down there.
Yeah, no, morally, I was like, this is fine, but my brain was like, I've seen them throw cautions for less. Yeah, and this is just it's just bothering me in my brain. But yeah,
then it didn't matter because the TV panel they had to put back on, it fell right back off.
Anyway.
But
Yeah.
inconsistencies in the way we call the rule book will continue in the next gen era.
Woo,
Brad-
NASCAR. Yeah.
Brad Keselowski
Oh boy.
was super duper aggressive. Talk about the wrecks in a second, but for all the folks that want to be yelling at this guy about being too aggressive in the Daytona 500, let me say that again: too aggressive in the Daytona 500.
It is a thing that can happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. The later one, I don't agree with all the crazy amount of criticism he's getting, and it's not because Ricky Stenhouse was the one that got wrecked. That's a stupid argument in the first place.
Yeah.
But
Ricky wrecked a bunch of people 4 years ago, Joe.
so it makes it okay for him to
Yeah.
have his car tore up. But the Harrison Burton one's the one that's a little more interesting with the way he was pushing, because Harrison was able to take those bumps for 5 or 6 laps leading up to that incident. We'll talk about the incident in a second, but Keselowski being too aggressive.
Yeah, I kind of got the sense that a lot of the drivers would agree with that sentiment, and I am usually one when it comes to things like that to trust a driver's judgment, especially when it's most of the field.
Oh yeah.
Like I know Denny Hamlin was saying stuff about it, and Harrison obviously said some things about it. Harrison was trying to be gracious in his interview, but you could tell he was very upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did a good job, like keeping it mostly reined in. The Harrison Burton incident where he was pushing him, that I think was very silly from Brad.
Yeah.
And then the next one later in the race, I mean, listen. And this is something that we talked about last year, so I don't have a problem talking about it. You can sit here and say that it's the Daytona 500 all you want, but when we end up sending a driver into the grandstands, or when we end up killing another driver eventually one day, saying that it's the Daytona 500 is not going to be enough. And it's just because that didn't happen this time doesn't mean that it excuses anyone from it. If you're driving aggressively and you start wrecking people and it becomes a recurring instance, I think you deserve to be called out. I think you deserve to be asked hard questions, and I think Brad Keselowski deserved to be asked those hard questions after the race on Sunday.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's questioning Brad's talent as a driver. Like, he's obviously a champion and he's been around for a decade now. But it was just like when there's 4 big wrecks and one car is responsible or was turned somebody to start 3 of them, like there's going to be some fingers pointed.
Oh yeah.
So.
And I think the one thing, as Davey dashes to his door, the one thing to think about too is how good the 6 car was at pushing people throughout the race.
Yeah.
Was probably the guy that could push the best. I don't think anyone can dispute that they had a really good piece there at Roush. But it was still aggressive moves, especially coming off the corners. I don't know. I don't see it like a block at a guy that's coming 20 miles per hour faster than you down the straightaway. Or, you know what I mean? Like, there's moves that I think are a lot worse that don't get discussed about. Davey's reference about, it's the Daytona 500 was last year when Logano threw his block on Keselowski going down into 3, and you had that fireball and really bad mess. You're going to fill yourself up with chicken, Davey?
Nope.
Okay.
We're not sponsored, so no.
That's why I said fill yourself up with chicken, and you dashed to the door.
Dash to the door, that's fine. I'm not affiliated with anybody. I'm eating generic food brand.
Generic food brand. I still think that there has to be tiers to what we say is aggressive, and I think too often people are going to kind of push things together. Of course, I'm sure there's bias in there, right?
Yeah.
But I don't see the move the first one's a lot worse than the second one, in my opinion. First one's a lot more egregious than the second one.
Yeah, especially in the context of where in the race that it all happened and stuff.
Yeah.
It was unnecessary, really.
And it's not even situations like there was an ARCA race at Daytona a few years ago where Todd Gilliland was pushing somebody and got him out of shape and then just kept pushing him for like 2 more seconds until he wrecked him. Like,
he should have just done that under caution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But yeah, every time like it happened, it was just Brad pushing somebody, and then all of a sudden they were spinning because it was, physics coming out of the corner. The car gets really light because you're dropping back down to come off the banking, et cetera, et cetera. So,
But granted,
yeah.
he was doing that same thing 60 other times during the race, and there
Yeah.
wasn't a wreck. So I mean,
There was 197 laps where Brad was pushing somebody coming off a corner, and he didn't wreck somebody. So, yeah.
We always look at the bad things. We're humans. Let's talk about that first wreck a little bit more because it was really the first big next gen wreck. And boy howdy, it was big. So Harrison Burton, of course, gets the bad bump off the corner because it was a bad bump. Gets sent around, is going sideways, gets hit going sideways, and we get a blowover. Is this where I'm supposed to say, like, told you so? I mean, I keep seeing everyone say, oh, circumstance, but, like...
I still say circumstance.
Yeah.
Personally. I feel like the way that the ducts work in the car that are meant to combat the rear underside of the car, making the cars go up in the air, I feel like the way it spun and the way it was hit mainly led to that circumstance where we saw a car get up in the air. I feel like that's just one of those things, and it was really unlucky that it happened immediately because we saw wrecks Thursday night, we saw wrecks on Sunday where cars didn't fly up into the air when they got turned around. I don't think this is a told you so moment at all for the flat underside of the car's part, if that's what you're talking about. I think it's just unfortunate circumstance that happened at the wrong time in the first ever big high. Well, I wouldn't even say the first because we had a big wreck at the end of the duel, but like, I just think the circumstances aligned up, and before it's a gotcha, I think I need another instance of it. I think I need to see more cars getting off the ground, and I didn't see that. So,
fair enough.
I mean, I kind of was like a little worried when it first happened, but like the race went on, we had some accidents, nothing out of the ordinary occurred in any of those accidents besides cars getting stuck when they spun and blew a tire, which was ridiculous. Like, that was really like the only thing that was kind of like absurd to me. But yeah, no, Harrison was safe. That's number one. Right. And
the greenhouse on that car held
up. And it looks like it's not going to be a pattern. I could be wrong, and we have a lot of weeks to tell if I am wrong. But yeah, pretty. Before the next person starts talking, I just want to say shout out to Fox for catching that. Jesus Christ, holy crap, man! Cutting edge broadcasting, catching the fact that a car rolled over. They didn't catch it.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Joe, your camera's doing the sponge on my end, by the way.
Well, yours is doing the sponge on my end, so.
Oh, hang on.
Oh.
There we go. Yeah. Are we good?
You're fine.
Okay.
I think it's
I just turned my camera off.
I think Discord's being weird tonight because there's been like mecha voices and robot voices all night.
Yeah, if anybody's freaking out about the way he blew over and it was like, oh my god, he was barely going fast. AJ Allmendinger, Talladega 2010, literally the exact same thing. So
yeah.
There's been literal dozens of flips like that over the course of 60 years. Like, it's fine. There's nothing you can do about that. When a car gets hit in the door and gets airborne a little bit, it's going upside down. It just happens.
Yeah. There's gotta be a way. And it sucks that they don't have it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This car being treated, and again, there's the things with the underside, with the diffuser having a flap that deploys, right?
Yeah.
That will help for when those cars are going backwards, like we saw with the wreck on Saturday, which again we'll talk about. Where the car's going backwards and it gets up because it's going backwards, and they, more air getting whatever. So they have that issue, it seems, combated, and that's probably why you didn't see more cars going up and over. But the reasoning that, this is a 1 in 1,000, 1 in 100 situation can never be a reason not to continue to pursue safety and say, it's okay. I see a lot of that. It's okay out there, and this isn't me being traumatized by flips and like, you know what I mean. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's just from a safety perspective. I mean, Christ's sake, how many cars have gone into catch fences in the last year and a half? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you got to keep pushing, and the moment you say, well, it's a crazy accident, you give the people that designed the thing an opportunity to rest about it and not worry about it. So I don't want that to be the takeaway from this, that, oh, it's a freak accident, because the whole, oh, well, we can't simulate it. Yes and no. I mean, there's tools out there, really expensive tools that I have no idea how to use, but there's tools out there where you can simulate this type of stuff and kind of figure out trends.
Yeah, and for reference, like, it's not like NASCAR's not trying to fix it. I mean, they've been trying to fix this problem since they put roof flaps on the cars in the 90s. Like, This is a problem they've been chasing for 25 years.
Exactly.
So.
And it's physics, right? It's not, you're not going to be able to stop it in every instance.
Yeah.
But again, the moment you say, oh, it's a 1 in a million, 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 thing, you're kind of saying, oh, it's okay to happen. The other thing with these wrecks, collisions with the walls looked more violent than I guess they were, maybe. I think about Byron sliding down into the inside wall, Logano's wreck at the end of the duel.
Really? Yeah. Like, they look violent, but the drivers didn't really have any. I feel like we would have known. One of the drivers would have said that was a hard hit.
The only person who looked like they, may have even close to hurt was Ricky Stenhouse, and that's because he doesn't wear Hans to ice. He wears like that Simpson harness thing. So
yeah, the hybrid.
And his head smacked the wheel.
Yeah.
Which not good. Definitely something that should be looked at. I don't know if I like that a lot.
I'm assuming a lot of the dirt guys wear it.
I know Larson does.
It. Yeah.
No, that freaked me out watching that. I didn't like that at all. That's not a good thing to see.
Hey, thanks Fox for giving us that camera angle, right?
It's the one shot they did get.
But it was definitely the wrecks are interesting in terms of watching this being the first true test to see how this car holds up. We'll see how it holds up this weekend at Auto Club.
Before we move on, I will say I do like how I was talking about the toe links being really fragile last week, and then that's what broke on Reddick's car, which caused that wreck. So
that is awesome.
Yeah. So maybe make those a little stronger, NASCAR.
Reddick.
Matt went in hard with that. So he was talking about it when that happened. Matt was like, "I said it. I knew it. It's the toe links. It's these little pieces I called it. Here." I was like, "Damn, he got it. He got that. He really got it."
Reddick's got no luck. He's gonna need some this weekend because he should be a force at Auto Club.
Oh yeah.
Well, that being said, though, of course, we come down to the late race restart. You got two Team Penske's on the front row, kind of in a similar situation as last year with teammates at the front. Austin Cindric, the rookie, manages to win it. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's start with I put team orders in our script, but I don't think anyone would have faulted Blaney for maybe not letting his teammate in, but
they do that every team that's running 1-2 does that like every time we come to a plate race, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was funny listening to Tony Stewart and Clint Boyer being like, "Oh, what are they going to do here?" And it's like Cindric's going to take the outside and Blaney's going to let him in. Like we all know what's going to happen.
Yep.
Or as Joey Logano likes to call it, the okie dokie. So
yeah. It was pretty obvious what was about to happen. Yeah. And I think that usually comes with like a general understanding that like last lap or two, it is what it is with the teammates. So like team orders, like
it's
get
not
it.
Orders, but it's the only way to like kind of phrase it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and it's the only way for a team to ensure itself a shot at winning at the end because they have confirmed dancing partners right there with each other. It benefits Blaney just as much as it does Cindric at the end of the day,
Yep.
Which is the exact thing that Blaney brought up, right? Agreed to it because this is probably our best shot to make sure Penske wins the 500. Look at Ryan Blaney being a great team leader over there. Look at that. Not wrecking his teammate throwing blocks. I wonder what other veteran driver could learn a thing or two about that.
But like it's funny because like if they don't work together, Blaney starts on the outside, and the outside line usually doesn't stay with the inside on restarts. So
The thing in that situation though is he has Keselowski behind him.
yeah, but it's like, who would I want to work with? My teammate or other guy?
You know,
So,
the guy that's
like,
caused
obviously.
two big wrecks.
Yeah, who's already spun 2 people out pushing really
do I want him
aggressively.
pushing me? Yeah, and I think that's exactly it, right? Because we saw Briscoe wasn't able to push the 6, and that's kind of what stalled that outside line out and stuff coming to the end. But a crazy finish, photo finish, which it hasn't been talked about enough. Cindric, of course, first rookie, official rookie of the year contender, however you want to phrase it, to win the Daytona 500.
Yep.
He's here, guys, and he's ready. He's
much to my chagrin.
He's ready for the Cup Series, right?
Yeah, I happy for Austin Cindric. Was kind of pulling for Bubba to sneak it out down in the bottom there.
Agreed.
Would have been happy with the Blaney win. I think Blaney's going to get his though. He's really good at these play races. At the end of the day, though, I've turned around on Austin Cindric in the last couple years. I'm not too upset about it. We really got to see just how these cars race in those last few laps. It wasn't
pretty good.
It wasn't hard. It wasn't super hard to pass, but like it was like you had to like it was like a timing thing for sure. And it was good racing to the end of that the end of that race. Who knows if Cindric doesn't wall Blaney? Maybe it's it's a little closer.
I mean, hey man,
listen, I don't care. I don't care what you say. He walled the hell out of his teammate. And
Blaney's guilty of it in the past too. So
exactly.
I mean,
that's why I have
guilty
less
of it. Like
that's why I have less of a problem with it because we've literally watched Ryan Blaney do it. And it's like, yeah, well, there it is. I guess it happened.
Yeah, no, I wasn't too mad. Like, I don't really care for Austin Cindric, but I was like, well, whatever. So
it was funny.
There's worse people. So
it was funny to hear Bubba talk to after, like, I was really hoping they would wreck each other. So Blaney would have been a little further up and it would have turned him into the wall. Good.
I will say, shout out to Bubba's like change in mentality, because in 2018 when he finished second, he was like super emotional, and even last year if he would have finished second, they would have been pumped. And then finishing second in this race, he seemed like genuinely mad because it's like, oh my god, we should be winning this race.
Well, I mean, think about it. He had a really good car last year in this race, and had a late race issue on pit road that put him a lap down. Obviously, he's got. I think he's a guy that's going to really benefit from getting his first win, confidence-wise.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, we even saw that over the course of the last 4, 5, 6 weeks of the Cup season last year.
Yeah.
But not to turn this into a Bubba Wallace discussion, you can go check out that Netflix documentary now. By the way, I don't have Netflix, so I haven't watched it. But Cindric, it's his arrival. A lot of folks probably pegged him to maybe win a road course this year if he wins it all. What was that face for?
You just said a lot of people pegged Austin Cindric. I don't know. I just
Anyways,
thought it was a weird thing to say.
This is TV 14 now. Getting really close to that.
A lot of sexual tension in this episode.
Let me tell you. But Cindric's arrived, right? And that's the big thing. Penske, people probably are saying, oh, you lose Brad Keselowski, you bring in 2 young drivers with Harrison Burton in the 21 and Cindric in the 2. How are they going to adjust? They're adjusting just fine because Harrison was up front and Cindric looked good throughout the whole race, like average running position up inside the top 10. No drop off in quality of driver in that car, it would appear, at least for the super speedways.
It shouldn't even be a surprise. He was really good in the 500 last year too.
Oh.
He was running like 3rd or 4th very late into that race.
And that's the thing, right? It's not a surprise. I think people kind of, he's a rookie to win. This guy puts in, from everything we've heard, this guy puts in more work than anyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of that goes back to his debut in the trucks being atrocious. So he's, people are gonna always say that he's only in that car because who his dad is and his dad's relationship with Roger Penske and being the team principal and whatnot. But if you didn't think Austin Cindric as a Xfinity champion and runner-up by, a hair for a second time, wasn't a legit race car driver and was not deserving of a Cup Series ride, you're sadly mistaken. It's just that simple.
It's true.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Before we... Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's all I had to say. So.
Oh, yeah. Before we go too far into Xfinity and Truck Series stuff, I just wanted to point out something that I noticed during the dual races while I was there that I couldn't really get a feel for watching the broadcast, which I think is just when I describe what I'm about to say, it's going to make a lot of sense. When I was at the dual races, I kind of noticed that the caboose of every line, if they got a little too far out of line, they just got out of the draft super quickly. Not like how you would expect. Like they could still be within what would look like an acceptable drafting difference, and they would just start losing speed. It was really interesting to watch. I don't know how much of that happened in the 500, but in the duels, it was really apparent that that low pressure area behind the cars was a lot smaller than it had been in the past, which I guess would make sense. It makes sense because they're working on. Yeah, it makes sense because they're working on getting rid of the dirty air behind the car, which dirty air is just a silly term for that low pressure area behind the car that is usually on big tracks draft. So I guess that's a good sign, technically, in a weird way. But if it didn't happen much during the 500, it must have been the drivers noticed and they just kept their gaps a little tighter. They didn't fall back as much. I couldn't get a feel for if it was happening in the 500 or not. But in the duels, it was super noticeable.
Especially with the way the Fords ran away.
Yeah. In the duels, it was super noticeable when a car would get out of that low pressure zone behind another car. It was just short. Like it was from this to this. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I thought it was interesting.
It is interesting. Good point, Davey. And I love that you talked about dirty air as low pressure. That makes me very happy.
That's all it is. Like all that turbulent air. It's actually not. It's not really turbulent. It's like nowhere. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Dirty air is misrepresented by big air.
Okay,
turn off the wind.
Let's keep working. Let's keep working our way back.
Turn off the wind. Yeah.
Xfinity Series action. It was a really good race. Hemrick wins the first two stages. Team decides to come down the pit lane after they get a little bit of damage, and of course they get caught up in another wreck.
That's Daniel Hemrick football, baby.
But all I would really want to hear about is that last lap caution that's probably been beaten to death. But we're gonna
Austin Hill won. Let's get that out of the way now.
Hill won. I picked him to win.
Shut up.
I knew. RCR car with good driver equaled probably victory.
Except when Daniel Hemrick's in it.
Davey?
I just watched that. I'm gonna have to put the sad violin music over that as Joe just stares down after Davey said that.
Your time code is around 38 minutes for that.
Make
sure you write it down.
Yeah, let me write it down because I will forget if I don't.
Um,
I don't have any paper to write on my phone.
That was quite funny.
But Myatt Snyder goes up and over into the catch fence right in front of Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Who appeared to be watching on a TV in the backstretch with his arms up. Which is interesting. I imagine they were probably watching the race.
It's a reaction. You go, ah!
Yeah, I imagine he was probably watching the race because you and Weaver said this in the Discord when it happened. But on the backstretch, if you're ground level on the backstretch, you can't see a thing. There's no race car that you can see. Obviously, they could have seen Matt Snyder if they turned around, but they didn't know that. Matt, whatever. I don't care.
Matt, as I call
name's
him.
hard.
This is another case of a car going backwards and air getting underneath it. And
thank you, Joe. That is indeed what happened.
It's sad.
This is another case of a car going backwards in the air getting underneath it. A true spectacle.
True spectacle to behold.
I don't know. That just reminded me of an argument I got with somebody in a random Discord server where it was for a caution that got thrown for Michael and Ed crashing really hard at a super speedway and his car caught air. Somebody's like, "Why was that a caution? He barely even got air." And it was you realize the cars aren't supposed to get any air. If they come off the ground at all, that's a problem. They're specifically designed to have all four tires on the ground at all time. Have you ever driven before?
makes my head hurt.
Yeah. It's like, what are you talking about?
Oh, it's those flying cars that they're asked
Yeah.
about in their end of season poll.
Yeah, I jump my Corolla to work all the time. Like, whatever.
Go for the train
Such
tracks.
a weird qualifier for a bad accident. Didn't even get any air.
Yeah, he barely got any air. Like, why did they throw a yellow for that?
There wasn't any fire. What the heck? No,
no.
but Snyder's car was absolutely destroyed. There were pieces on the other side. Obviously, catch fence had to get repaired, like it does anytime
There's
a car
a
hits
piece of
it.
suspension stuck in Michael Jordan's motorhome grill. So
The area of sheet metal that holds the gas thing.
the fuel
was
filler,
in
yeah.
the fence. The fuel filler. There we go. In the fence, just hanging out.
I think
literally.
I think it was JJ Yaley or someone else posted. Someone had the splitter of the 31 car just lodged in the radiator of their car, and
It was I think it was LeBay's car
Yeah.
is the one that they like discovered it when they got back to the shop because there was just like a crack along the edge of the splitter, and then they popped the hood and there was just a second splitter inside the front of the car.
This wreck is like a freaking like it's like a comedy show because there was also a truck arm stuck in the deck, like through the deck lid
Yeah,
of another car. I forget who it was.
the
Yeah.
engine was laying.
I
on
think
one
that was
side,
Yaley, yeah.
one part of the track, the whole front.
Yeah, Matt
axle,
Mills
another
hit
part.
the engine.
Just vicious, gnarly. I saw it from across the speedway when it happened. One of the most brutal looking things I've ever seen, and I was like a mile away.
Yeah.
It was big. It was big. It was a big accident.
Yeah, luckily Maya was okay. Like we're kind of
We got out
taking
of
the piss out of it right now, but
Eh.
it was funny because like when he stopped, you were like, "Oh my god, is he okay?" And he just got out and he was like, "All right."
I was waiting for him to like throw the Hans device like Brad last year with the just heap of car.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
No, but
that is
he got out. He'll be racing this weekend too, so that's good.
to take one out of Larry Mack's book. That is a testament to the safety of these race cars.
And it was.
Yeah.
It was. He was fine. He hurt his foot or something. Must have banged
He
it.
bruised it, yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said his left leg was sore, which I mean, he hit
Yeah.
a pole, so
Yeah, probably. When he
usually
went up-
something's going to be sore after that.
when he went up and the cheese started going, his leg probably smacked against like somewhere under the car, under
Yeah.
where his feet are.
We gotta fix catch fences. That's the next thing that needs innovating.
Yeah.
What do you suggest?
I don't know. Some kind of clear
do you
plastic
think?
material. You need it to be smooth, right? You need it so it's not like it doesn't have holes in it to where like things can get in there and rip. But I don't know
It's
what
tough
material would be strong enough. That's the thing.
It's tough because the fence is there obviously to keep cars from leaving the track.
You can keep people
So-
safe, which they can't do if they have holes in them if the car goes through it.
Yeah. So it's so tough because I feel like there is some sort of compromise where maybe instead of a ton of big poles, we have slightly more weaker poles that can give more, which obviously that'll require repairs, but I mean the current layout already does require repairs, but you need something to keep cars from spearing between poles and hitting them.
Yeah.
Because that's what destroyed Austin Dillon's car. That's what did it to Mayat this week. That's what did it to Larson in 2013.
I just think
And Corey
If we're
LaJoy in
truly-
Newman's case.
Yeah.
I think if we're truly going to go the route of let's make this as safe as possible, this discussion really only leads to let's just not race cars anymore because
Yeah.
Fair enough.
that's all it leads to. Because at the end of the day, you make those fence posts a little weaker, and you can say what you want about where the placement of the stands. You can say what you want about the distance between the track and the stands. Like you're not far from the racetrack when you're up at near the grandstand at Daytona. I'm sure there's other tracks where you're not far from the racetrack when you're down in the front of the grandstands. Like it's negligible how far it is. Of course, they moved us back still, but it's still not far. And I'm gonna be honest, like I see accidents, where catch fences are involved, and I think about it when I sit, anywhere near the trial at Daytona, because that's where the cars are going if they go in the air there. I don't necessarily want it weaker. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want
I
it
don't think
weaker at all.
And that's the tough balance to or the tightrope to walk, because it's like if you do smaller poles, then you risk you run the risk of a car breaking through entirely. So it reminds me a lot of that metaphor I use with football helmets, where like people lead with their head because they feel safe wearing helmets, and they wouldn't do that if the helmets weren't so safe. But you can't make them less safe because you're like, oh, we'll just get a concussion instead. So
Yeah.
like,
it's we're at a weird spot right now
yeah,
where fences need to be figured out, but we can't really do anything different than what we currently have.
What you have is the best option already.
Yeah.
That you know
yeah.
of.
And it's one of
Yeah.
those things where you would never say like, oh, well, that's what people expect when they go to a race. But it's like you do take that risk of like, there's cars doing
It's on the back
190
of your
miles an
ticket
hour.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 190 mile an hour, or cars going 190 miles an hour, and the only thing standing between me and them is a fence. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen if one of them hits it. You know,
And
I'm not saying, oh, well, that's what you
wish,
should expect,
mister.
but like at
Yeah.
some point there is a risk that you take on as a fan.
and to the argument, and like to that, I have to tack on, like, you know, like race cars are destroyed by catch fencing. It has happened. It's going to continue to happen, and there's really not much we can do about it until we find a clear material that's strong enough to stand up.
Yeah.
And not like, because like even if we find a clear material and we bolster it with poles, those cars are going to go straight through that clear material and hit the poles just like they would anyway. Except now they're sending shards of this plastic material into the fans.
Yep.
There's really no winning with the knowledge that we have right now. And at the end of the day, in my opinion, this may come off bad, but it's just the truth. The drivers accept more risk than the fans. It's just a statement of fact. Like they willingly accept more risk than the fans for a reason.
Mhm.
And there's a level of that where you do have to say, like, okay, well, there's a part of this that's always going to be dangerous. And unfortunately right now it's the catch fencing. I think, obviously, I'm not saying never work on it, but like, what do you do?
Right.
What do you do?
Right.
Like, there's nothing you can do.
Nothing
Like,
immediately to do.
yeah, because no matter what, you're gonna need fencing there, and that acts as a cheese grater. The big posts, you can maybe put them closer together, but then you're sacrificing fan visibility. Is that a thing that we care about? Like, what? Like, is there a way to do it without sacrificing it as much? It's a lot. I think it's a whole discussion that could be had about just that.
That's the problem too. It has to be a material that would have some kind of give, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So. Austin Hill wins that race. Congratulations!
Yeah.
First career Xfinity win.
Big fan.
Zane Smith won the Truck Series race on Friday. Little old Zane Smith, who was supposed to be in the 1 car this year for Chip Ganassi Racing.
Yeah.
Of that.
Oh well.
But it was a surprisingly tame race up until about 3 to go, and then there was the caution coming to the white flag that the guy had the fastest reflexes in the world to hit the button.
That was ridiculous.
I want to give a shout out to my roommate. I tweeted this, but he was watching the race with me, and then they wrecked coming to the white flag, and he's like, "How did you know they were going to wreck on the last lap?" And I was like, "Welcome to the Truck Series."
Yeah.
I watch this race every year.
I mean, I was actually pretty impressed with how well they did for most of that race. And every series, obviously, we just talked about the other two had big wrecks at the end of their races. So
yeah, the trucks were very loose for a lot of that race. I'm surprised there weren't more wrecks. There was a lot of ridiculous saves.
What was it? Was it Dawson? Is it Dawson Graham in the 91?
No idea.
Was
no idea.
So loose coming
Truck
off the
series,
corner.
bro. I don't know.
Garrett Krause was like you said, a lot of guys really, really loose, and it was interesting.
Yeah, race control very, on it with calling that second to last caution to force overtime, and then they didn't take their finger off the button on the last lap, which made me very mad.
Very confusing. Very confusing. But I mean, what are you gonna do?
In that case, again, safety, right? Get ambulances and people as quick as you can, because you never know how hurt they are. We've seen not bad wrecks, drivers still get hurt, and bad wrecks where drivers don't get hurt. So
I think in that case, though, if both trucks are still moving and still full speed after hitting the wall, maybe don't throw a caution.
No, there was one stopped.
No. It was, but the two guys got together and got up in the wall, and there was caution immediately, and then they just kept going.
I
Yeah.
forget. I pushed the Truck Series out.
It made me
It's
mad.
It's what it is.
It's what
Yeah.
it is. It's the Truck Series.
Matt DiBenedetto wrecked 2 people racing for
Truck
last,
Series,
and then they
Truck
threw
Series,
caution.
Truck
Yeah.
Series, funny Truck Series.
Anyways,
Yeah.
Whatever.
It was frustrating. So
do you know
Yeah,
what
it was.
do you know what all those races had in common?
a wreck on the last lap.
Well, yes, but also
What is going on?
I don't know.
they're all covered by Fox.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, boys. My headset cord. My headset's dying. That's good.
The show is a mess this week.
It's a bad one.
We were supposed
That's
to
okay, it's
record
not a
last
mess.
night, but I forgot to tell the guys that we were going to record last night.
And also, I was busy.
Blame Joe. Make sure you blame Joe today.
Hashtag blame Joe.
Have you taken the
Here.
time today to blame a Joe Tawansky?
I'm gonna do my impression of the Fox broadcaster. You ready? All right, here we go. Here's Junior. Oh man, he's having a great run today, isn't he? Yeah, man. Look at how great this race is so far. All right. Okay.
Here's if Fox did the Fake Racers podcast.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I broke.
I'm
Oh.
Davey Hazard.
No way.
I am Joe. I
You
run
gotta
the
be
show
kidding
now.
me.
Did you actually break it?
I was just talking to you before the recording started that my camera likes to not work often. I need a new one. I'm gonna be honest. The cord I think is a little bungled, but you gotta be joking. It's okay. We can keep talking.
Well, I'm Davey Hazard.
I'm
Yes,
Joe
he is.
Twansky.
If you're
think.
if you're listening to the audio podcast, I am so sorry. It's my fault.
It's too many visual gags on this week's episode.
He's back.
Yeah.
Jesus God.
My camera broke for a second. Yeah, for those listening, I put a diecast right up against the camera, and that's all you could see was Dale Jr.'s back bumper.
You
so.
you know in a weird way though, that whole gag was a Fox broadcasting gag, and the screen went out. So at the end of the day, it was right.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's insane.
I know there was some comments. Matt, you were listen, buddy.
No.
It's okay to take it easy. You don't have to. Oh
Nah.
man. Ah, there.
God.
You go. I'm Davey Hazard.
I'm Joe again.
Fix it. Don't talk about it.
You were very active again at msteelman51 on Twitter. If you want
I
to
just
take
want to
us
see the race.
through your list of
I
grievances,
just want to see the cars, you know? I don't want to see useful information on the ticker, like intervals, not miles per hour. Oh, look, they're all doing 190 because this track is everybody's wide open all the time. Man, that's such useful
Oh, look,
information.
they're all doing 190.
Hey, look at their manufacturer logos. I know we designed the Gen 6 and the next gen so we can have more manufacturer identity, but you can't tell that on TV, so we're going to put the manufacturer logos on the ticker, even though it's irrelevant because all the cars are 2x2, so you don't know who's actually with who. Oh god, it pisses me off. I know Alex Bowman was laps down that whole race. I have no idea how many. I think he got back on the lead lap at some point. Don't know. Thanks, Fox. So, all right, that's my rant.
You needed that. I could tell.
I was so frustrated.
I could tell you needed that.
Oh my god.
So there's things to complain about and there's things not to complain about, right? Things to complain about: too many close-up shots, too many onboards
Oh
during
my
live
god.
coverage.
You're not
The
NFL films.
onboards during
Zoom
the
out.
500. The onboards during the 500. That was
The problem
Wow.
with that is there weren't enough cautions to where they could actually use the onboards for what they're supposed to be used for.
Yeah.
That's the problem with that. But
ugh.
so they, you got sponsors and stuff, and you have to make sure that the sponsor gets their worth out of paying you to be a sponsor of the onboard camera, because that's all money that goes to Fox. Big thing is I saw people complaining about commercials and the amount of commercials and freaking out about commercials, and it was like, oh my god, it's not F1. You knew that when you signed up for the race to watch it. It's the Daytona 500.
Not for the Daytona 500.
Laps. I get it.
They went to commercial 3 times in the final 20 laps of the Xfinity race.
Yes.
We spent almost half of the final 20 laps under commercial.
Yes.
It was absurd.
And part of that too was the fact that there weren't a lot of cautions in these races over the weekend that they're kind of used to, and you sell your ad space before you start the show. Is it an excuse for bad, or is it an explanation for bad coverage? You could be the judge of that. But I don't know. It's the camera angles. Not the greatest, especially on a super speedway. A little more understandable on a short track, maybe, or things you can see more with a closer angle, or you don't need to see as much like you do on a super speedway. But
like, I understand that they want to get those cool shots that look that look great on social media and look good in commercials, and like it is impressive, some of the close-up shots. But again, I know I harp on this a lot. They don't use the NFL films footage for a live broadcast of a football game. If they do a close-up, it's on a replay.
Right.
Your job as a broadcaster is to show us the race, and I can't see anything other than Kyle Busch's left front tire right now.
That's
it's just agonizing.
It's just, at the end of the day, like, the broadcast is supposed to tell a story. And I don't think the things that they were doing, if commercials aside, I'm going to ignore commercials because that's a whole different discussion entirely. But like the other things that are to be complained about, the up close shots are really annoying. The ticker not showing useful information at all is annoying. Those things are not being used to tell a good story. They're not being used to tell a story. So in my opinion, they're bad, and you can complain about them all you want. Anything that is like detrimental to that's the storytelling of the broadcast needs to go. It can't happen. The close-up shots, the onboards, if it's not helping tell the story, which in my opinion they aren't, get rid of it. There's no need. Well, not get rid of it, but like just stop doing it so much.
Yeah.
Like obviously the onboards are great for recapping a caution from the perspective of a certain car or certain moments.
Crank it up moments, or
crank it up moments.
You got a lull in the race, or
and I don't even mind onboards during live that often. Like if you want to use it to prove a point, if Tony or Clint wants to talk about some sort of phenomenon while you're driving, like obviously an onboard is the best way to do that. Yeah, but. Yeah,
and if you're pairing up, if there's going to be any like radio message coming through, use an onboard. But like the ticker thing drove me nuts.
Yeah,
it drove me nuts. There was no useful information being displayed on the ticker whatsoever.
To be fair, in terms of the ticker at a super speedway, intervals aren't as important.
But there's so much. There's so much other information.
The speeds are definitely less important, even though but point being is like manufacturer logos, I think, are kind of helpful with the super speedways a little bit more, especially with the way that they work together. To be fair, speeds obviously probably not very helpful at all. But I just, me, I hate when people complain and then I complain. So it is what it is. But production wise, like quality of production, maybe not the directing of the production. I think Fox has a great production value still. Like, I know people like to complain about the superhero drawings, but that's kind of what
I've never actually minded those. I thought those are cool.
That's what Fox does for the NFL, and it used to be so cool that we had the NFL music.
Yeah, I think the drawings are fine.
The thing I think that Fox does really well is they make it seem like an event, but they still do a good job of portraying like the kind of fun, loose attitude of a NASCAR race. And
sometimes a little too much.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little too loose.
Yeah,
but like it's not like NBC where it's just like, this is the most intense thing you've ever seen in your life. So
I'm Dale Jr. and I'm Rick Allen.
That's actually really freaking funny.
And the thing is, like, I know a lot of people want like that in-depth technical stuff, which I think Fox does a pretty good job of incorporating that during the race. NBC doesn't incorporate that stuff in the middle of the race. Fox has Larry Mack back in Charlotte now, not calling races, but to serve as like a tech person. You know what I mean? If there's take you through the nuances and some of those things. Where NBC maybe doesn't do that as much, can't do that as much with the 4-man booth that they have.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, I love their updated graphics. I think they look amazing.
I agree.
Anytime you add a little bit of animation, I think that just makes it look more expensive. Say it like that. A little more valuable.
Just a bit.
But I don't know. I think their graphics are great. I wish we had like a traditional ticker like everyone else at a Nostalgia, but you get more information out of this one. Just sucks when it's blocking the action, and you gotta like frame. You gotta frame your photo, or your camera, knowing that you got a fifth of it covered.
Yeah.
I thought the booth was good. Tony was good in the booth. Clint Boyer
Tony was great in the
Clint
booth.
Boyer, new and improved Clint Boyer, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I thought he was
the commentary,
so much better than he was last year.
Commentary was pretty good. I felt like the booth themselves were strong. It was good stuff.
I think taking Jeff Gordon out was
plus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus.
and in an ideal world, like Jeff Gordon can bring his technical knowledge, but with like Clint Boyer being Clint Boyer, it
didn't
weird.
work.
Yeah.
Now the truck broadcast was terrible.
So
that was bad.
I didn't have as big of a problem with it as I saw people have.
Are you deaf?
What?
Are you deaf?
I guess. I don't know.
Are you blind?
Must be.
I agree.
To be honest, I don't really remember much
crap
of the
was
truck
awful.
broadcast.
It was like when we talked about it last year, Davey, where it was more on the campy end of the spectrum, and it was one of those. It was
now
like
it just seems like there's no effort.
Really?
It feels like there's no effort in the truck broadcast. No, it feels like no one cares.
It's
one
like
cares.
Were they even at the track this weekend?
I don't even know.
Because it seems very like, I know that's been a problem over the last few years, is they don't actually go to the track for truck broadcasts a lot of the time.
Bush was in the booth, so I would assume so.
Oh, was he? Okay.
And they don't go to the track once it's NBC's portion of the schedule. Usually.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. It seemed like they were only watching the monitors for a lot of the time, which I know it's really far away at times, but having Kurt Busch and Michael Waltrip be like, oh, does he have a tire down? Like, oh, I can't tell. And like only calling what they see on screen is just kind of weird. So I don't know.
I don't want to get into a big in-depth discussion about the truck broadcast, but I thought it was pretty butt cheeks, personally.
Xfinity broadcast was really good. I liked having Coleman Presley, using him to kind of give you some content from a spotter perspective during the race.
That's really cool. Obviously, I didn't watch that on TV because I was at the track. But
and they had Denny and Chad Knaus in the booth, so that was a pretty good duo.
The highlights I heard from Denny and Chad sounded good.
Yeah. They're good, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Just sucked that you had a commercial every 2 laps in the last 20, right, Matt?
Yeah. I'm kind of bummed that Phil Parsons is withering away in ARCA. Free Phil. So
I don't want to talk about ARCA.
We're not.
I just want to give a shout out to Dave Mader. So
I was there for it. The only driver who actually really wanted to win that was Daniel Dye, and that's all I got to say about that.
Agreed.
I sat next to Daniel Dye's family in the stands. Literally, it was like his mom.
Oh, nice.
The evidence there was she screamed, "That's my son!" I was like, "That's cool."
Did you guys get kicked out of your seats by a Thad Moffitt fan?
I wish we did.
No. I guess that guy wasn't there.
Nah.
His one fan.
I wish Thad Moffitt was better.
Yeah, true. That's still going to be an anomaly in my life, is the fact that one of my friends got kicked out of his seat by a guy in a Thad Moffitt shirt at an Xfinity race.
I mean, the thing with, like, I don't know what, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, he's not bad. He's not, like,
Has he won an ARCA race?
No.
Let's see.
No.
Okay, well then he's bad.
Oh, ARCA.
I don't know if that makes you bad, but okay.
He should be able to win an ARCA race.
Haley Deegan hasn't won an ARCA race either, so.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
Okay. Well, I guess Haley Deegan's bad then.
She kind of in a weird way, technically kind of has kind of ish.
It was a K&N race.
It's like grandfathered in.
Yeah, but it's ARCA now. It's ARCA now.
Yeah, if you retroactively make it ARCA, then it counts. So.
Okay, well, we've been talking a lot tonight.
Yeah.
And now it's time to get into the next week of stuff. IndyCar season opener, 12 p.m. Eastern time on NBC. Big NBC.
Woo!
Like most of their races
Woo!
will be this year. for
Yeah.
IndyCar. Also streaming on Peacock.
Okay,
I'm gonna be
cool,
honest.
IndyCar, yeah.
Didn't know it was coming up until I listened to the Dale Jr. download today, and Ernie Francis and they like mentioned like his Indy Lights debut this week, and I was like, oh god, that's this week.
Yep. Yep.
So
I mean, you guys want to talk about it at all, or
what I mean,
we can scratch it.
silly season stuff happened. It's here
I
and gone.
just put it there. 'Cause there's some things to watch. I mean, Pagenaud being with Shank, I think, is going to be interesting after being in Penske for all those years.
Yeah.
Grosjean
Grosjean's performance, yeah.
in a really good car now
He's gonna be
instead
good.
of just a mid car. Going to be interesting to watch, especially with him running the ovals this year. Right? He was stellar at Gateway. Sato took over the 51. Rookies: Christian Lundgaard, Devlin DeFrancesco. That isn't a name from a children's movie. I don't know what is.
Oh gosh.
Of course, Davy's boy full time.
Wait, who? Oh,
Jimmy
Jack Harvey.
Johnson.
Oh,
Jack
Johnson.
Harvey. My
I
man said
missed that
Jack
one.
Harvey.
I don't know. I didn't see that line.
That's
Because
funny.
you skipped over Jack Harvey. You're
Who
going in
cares?
order, and then you just skip whatever.
Jimmy Johnson, baby, yeah.
Old Jim Jam.
I almost wore my Jimmy Johnson shirt. I didn't. I don't know why.
You
I
wore it
didn't.
last time.
I did.
Dude,
Pretty
it
cool.
kind of I got like whiplash the other day because I kind of like forgot that Jimmy's an IndyCar because there was like that thing on the eve of the Super Bowl when it was like, what would be your touchdown dance? And it's like all of them, and then Jimmy did his, and I was like, whoa!
Wait, hold on.
Jimmy's an
Rewind.
IndyCar.
I'm still not used to IndyCar driver Jimmy Johnson.
There's some rumors about his the 48 seat for next season, not this upcoming one, but the next one. Who might be in that one? Saw some of that today.
Wait,
already
like he
starting.
won't be back in it?
He only signed a 2-year deal.
assuming.
So.
Yep.
Oh,
So he'll probably go run IMSA. Rumors of Rossi going to the 48 possibly.
so he's gonna do
Which
one
would-
full-time IndyCar year and then
It depends on how he does, I guess. I mean, I feel like he's in like that Fernando Alonso stage of his career where he's like, I'm just going to do everything.
just
I'm
gonna
gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Just gonna do whatever.
Fair enough. Fair
Which,
enough.
You know what? I support it.
Well, he deserves it, right?
Yes.
When you've won
Yes,
70
yes.
or when you've won 7 championships, you can kind of just do whatever.
And he is, and that's why I love him. My
so-
pick for my pick for St. Pete's, Joseph Newgarden.
Oh man, that was my pick too.
Nope, it's
Jose.
mine now.
I'll take Scotty then.
Ooh,
Spirit,
I
give me
wonder how he's gonna
Grosjean.
do this year.
Fair. No
I
one.
wonder how Grosjean's gonna do this year.
Give me the old Rogro.
No one took Will Power or Scott Dixon. Let's go.
We're gonna regret that, but that's okay.
No
Yeah,
one
Scott
else
Dixon's
will win.
washed.
Well, I'm really glad.
Scott Dixon has to stop being good eventually. Like eventually he's gonna not be good.
Well, he's got
Please.
he's got a hot up and coming teammate, and it isn't Alex Palou. It's Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Woo! Those young
I think
drivers.
that Jimmy Johnson guy might have a bright future ahead of him.
I think so.
Can't-
Can't put my finger on it, but I just have a feeling.
I don't want to start a big discussion. I'm expressing my genuine curiosity for how he's going to do on the ovals this season.
I think he'll do better than.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just going to keep getting better and better. Like, we saw him get closer and closer to race pace over the course of last year. So
I look at how well Kurt Busch did at the Indy 500 when he made
Yeah.
his run at it, and I think Jimmy now with the more time in the seat of a car could probably do pretty good. At least at Indy, that's the only oval that matters is Indy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
Texas. You can tell me Texas matters.
yeah.
Iowa maybe matters, but
Yeah.
and we're Gateway,
Nah.
but not Texas.
Thinking about my favorite driver, who is a NASCAR driver, let's face it, running Indy is actually like, it almost chokes me up. It's like, I'm really excited for the month of May. It's
my
pretty
God.
cool.
But
I'm also a baby.
maybe we'll get you up there for the month of May, Davey.
I'm not in Charlotte, man.
Nah, month of May. Month of May better.
But Charlotte.
Indy 500 with Joe versus Charlotte with USRL.
But just come to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Indy 500's a lot closer to me.
Yeah, there's like 8 of us compared to 1 of you. So
Yeah, but I'm enough to cover 9
true.
people.
it's plenty of Joe to go around.
I hate this is the worst show we've ever done. I hate this show.
NASCAR heads to California with the Xfinity Series on Saturday, the Cup Series on Sunday. New practice qualifying formats for the first time. That'll be interesting, I guess. I don't know if there's any intricacies you guys want to talk about with these races.
Are there? I know they ground down the track, some of the bumps on the back straight, I
They
believe,
put
right?
some resin in the corners since they haven't been there in a while, and people are freaking out.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Resin's better than PJ1, but okay.
Agreed.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just Xfinity. At some point with these predictions, we've gone through all the tracks at least once. When we get to like where the Cup Series is going to Gateway this year, right?
Yeah, technically we haven't done this one before because we didn't run here last year. This is one we haven't done.
Since I'm wearing this hoodie, I feel like I gotta say the backstretch, because they ground it down, it doesn't look like a whoop section anymore in Supercross. Yeah.
You're right, you bastard. You're right.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay, gotta bleep that out.
Anyway, my Xfinity picks
you
Josh
writing it
Berry,
down?
so
That's a good one. He did really good at Michigan, the sister track. Too bad Michigan is still very grippy.
if Josh Berry wins at a California track, I have to buy that diecast. So
I like that.
That's true. Just go ahead and say a cuss word now.
Please don't.
Wait, did I swear?
No, you didn't. No.
Oh, okay.
I was saying do it because he's a little evil child.
Do it. Davey's got a lot of goblin energy this week.
I'm a little
Split?
shit stirrer for those uninitiated.
You spelled a word, and everyone watching this knows how to spell.
Hang on, let me. There you go.
Noah Gregson.
That's a good pick too. He's good on these highway tracks.
He
I'm
is.
supposed to do that.
What did I take? Oh, Brandon Jones. That's my off the wall pick.
Brandon
bold
Jones.
pick.
I feel like you can't say Brandon Jones without sounding like a nerd.
Brandon Jones.
It sounds like no matter how you say Brandon Jones, it sounds like you're holding your nose.
I mean, that's what
Brandon
he sounds
Jones.
like, right? So,
Yeah.
Brandon Jones. There's no difference. Like, it's just no difference.
ran really well here the last time. Had a tire issue or something down the backstretch. Took him out of it. So
I don't understand the strategy behind that, if I'm being honest.
obviously, Ty
Shouldn't
Gibbs
have done that.
Ty Gibbs gonna be really good. Calling cars.
I forgot about Ty Gibbs, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Probably the championship favorite, right? Ty Gibbs, or is it Riley Herbst? Maybe, I don't know.
Who knows anymore? None of this is real. NASCAR's not real. None of this is real.
And then on Sunday, the Cup Series makes their first trek to a normal wear racetrack, or normal configuration racetrack.
I know when you guys are going to take Larson, so I'll come up with something else.
Joey Logano. Joey
Joe,
Logano.
who do you got?
Alex Bowman.
Okay, I'll take Larson then.
It's going to be interesting again with the next gen, how the tires hold up. I think we're going to be talking about wheels and tires a lot this year. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be interesting how this car handles tire wear and degradation and rubber being laid down at a track, because we kind of saw it with the Clash, but not really. It's going to be an interesting weekend. A lot of things will be learned, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about because it's just one massive unknown.
Are you excited for it though? I mean,
I'm super excited.
On a great race always. It's on Fox. I mean,
I'm stupid excited for this race.
Oh yeah,
like I cannot wait. I know my face isn't saying it, but like I've been looking forward to it.
Can't wait for USFL coverage on Fox to preempt NASCAR Cup Series action, but here we are.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
No, but it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be good. It'll be a good race. This is definitely gonna be again. I say this every week because I watch every race. I'm a firm believer you should watch every race.
Yep.
Give me that Joe's seal of approval, but I think it's gonna be interesting with all the unknowns still, especially with such limited practice time. Probably probably a lot of guys hoping that they have a teammate in the second set practice session if they're in the first. Another thing to look at.
Mm.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's it for this week. I was gonna split this up and do some little clips, but we didn't really get too much that's clippable, so whatever. But
we got a lot of Daytona 500 stuff is clippable.
I'm gonna clip
They don't
out
have
the whole Cindric stuff. I mean, you go check that out on main JTN because we're gonna try to feed people over here at JTN too. Because
Cindric, we got the Fox conversation that was pretty good. We don't have to clip everything.
The
We can clip all
thumbnail
the good
for that
stuff.
should just be like a zoomed in shot of our faces.
Wait, let me do it again. Just kidding. Break my camera.
But can't thank folks enough for tuning in, for watching, for listening, however you're consuming this podcast. We appreciate it so much. Does anything that you do to help support us, we appreciate. Listening and watching, of course, is the easiest way, and it's the most appreciated way, because numbers are nice. And if you feel so kind, drop a like either on the video or on the podcast, subscribe, follow, whatever you have to do on your podcast platform or here on youtube.com. Matthew, where can they find more from you?
You can find me on Twitter at msteelman51. And honestly, I think that's it.
Is your sides done?
Yeah. So.
How about disqualified?
Oh yeah. Next episode should come out soon. We need to record that. I've been very busy, so
that's fun.
Yeah.
Listen, quality over quantity.
Yep.
Something we don't know. Davey.
What about hello?
You can find more about Davey at.
Oh, they already know. They don't need to hear it again.
Okay, that's fine. And if you want to help support us here on JTM, make sure you're following at JoTo Network on Twitter and Facebook, as well as TikTok, where we'll kind of post some of these podcast clips, race clips, whenever we get the chance or want to. More so the former rather than the latter of that. Make sure you're subscribed to us here on JTN2 and over on the main JTN. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. We'll do some merch giveaways once we get there on the YouTube channel. You heard it here first. It's not the first time I said it, but you heard it here first. As well as when we get to 1,000 subscribers, Tommy gets to come on the show and rant about how 2003 is better than now or something. I don't know. That's gonna be a week where I can't do the podcast. So
Jesus, man.
Make it sooner rather than later, I guess. But with all that being said, we can't thank you enough for tuning in, for listening to our dumb faces. Yeah. Every week if you do. And please feel free to share our video, even if you're going to make fun of us, because, in the end, we want you to just come disagree with us. So,
yeah.
Thanks for watching this week, guys, and we'll see you guys next time on the Fake Racers Podcast.
Bye. Bye.